Hey, Trenton, we're live here at What's News for You. This live for new city council candidates is open to all candidates. The opportunity to introduce themselves, tell us who they are, and just a little bit about why they're running. This is not a long podcast. This is an introduction podcast, and it is the only one that we will have before uh, August. We'll come back again in, well, late July, early August, and just, really let them get in here and tell us who they are and why they're running and why it matters. So, if you're interested in joining us and you are a council candidate, this is a nonpartisan platform, and it is only open to new council candidates. And tonight, I have Ty here with me. And Ty, you want to introduce yourself, Mrs. Wilson, and tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about you?
Hi, I do. My name is Tywanda Terry Wilson. I reside in the East Ward, and I am throwing my hat into the ring for Trenton City Council at large.
Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, sure. So I was born and raised in the great city of Trenton. However, I no longer think that that is the prerequisites or the only reason why someone should vote for me. I am running for Trenton City Council because I believe that Trenton deserves good government. I've been an advocate here in the city of Trenton for at least 20 years. I've been advocating for clean streets, safe streets, quality of life, quality education for children, home ownership, and safety, police who understand that they work for the community. So I've been instrumental in trying to establish working relationships and respectful relationships with the police and the community. And I just want to extend that into legislating for the city of Trenton.
I love it. I really love it. I like to hear, number one, that people are civically engaged and understand how important it is. We have a few people watching. The biggest watch, Ty, and for the gentleman who is listening in, is simply this: we will market this to all of Trenton, and to we'll pay for the marketing for this podcast whenever the candidates are on, and all new candidates are welcome. This platform is not for sitting council, as they have had 4 years to tell us who they are and what they're doing. And what's your favorite part of Trenton, Ty? What do you like most?
What I like most about Trenton is our diversity. I really like the fact that we have people of all nationalities, all races, and I've been saying that for years, even when I was president of the Villa Park Civic Association, right? I think that Trenton's diversity is a real reflection of what America is. I know when my mother first moved to Trenton from Robbinsville, Allentown, we lived in a white community and then people started to move out. So we saw the neighborhood change. And the same thing happened when I purchased my home 20 years ago in Villa Park. So I like the fact that Trenton is diverse because it allows us to really be the hub and give an example when we get this done right of what America could really be. We have people here who are just really trying to make a life, make a living, raise their children, have safe homes, have home ownership. And the second thing that I like about Trenton is our close proximity to New York, to Philadelphia, and our historical assets. So I'm like, if we get the right people in office and we do this thing right, we can really make Trenton the best that she can be with people, diversity and nationalities, food, and a hub for people to come and tour.
And that's great because Trenton actually is a hub. We are at the intersection of the Northeast corridor. There is so much more that we can do with a council who's willing to work with the CEO of the city, which is the mayor. That's critical to our success. And it doesn't mean, everybody has to agree all the time. It just means that the opportunity should be there to negotiate and work in the best interest of the constituency and the city as a whole. And so I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. I still have one person trying to get on. I don't know what's going on. They have all the information they need to do that. But I just want to say this: voter education is going to be the key,
Mhm.
is going to be the key for an engaged uh, constituency. Hey, Algie.
Hey, how you doing?
Mhm.
Okay, okay. I'm here with Ty. We have one person listening, and we have folks, two or three jumping in and out. But as I explained to Ty, this is not the biggest part of the engagement because this podcast will be marketed out to the entire city.
That's awesome.
Okay.
We're also on YouTube. So whenever you want to tell people, hey, check me out, if they haven't heard you, go see me on YouTube. You don't have to be on Facebook. I'm on YouTube as well. And so we will mark it out through those sites. And so Ty has introduced herself. I'm going to allow you the same courtesy. And again, this platform is for new council members. It is not for sitting council members. We've
Mhm.
heard enough over the past 4 years, and that's just simply a reality. We have. It's time for a new voice, your choice. That belongs to the constituency in Trenton. And so, Algie, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first I'd like to say good evening to you and Ty.
Good evening.
We're
Hey,
both friends, so I hope that tonight we can have a uh, conversation based on our relationship over the many years and our experiences of what we've had in our attempts to serve the city of Trenton. Of course,
great.
Algernon Ward Jr. I'm a Trenton native. I've lived in every section of the city, and I'm intimately involved with the issues of our hometown. In fact, I got a shirt that said "Just a kid from Trenton," you know, and I'm proud of the fact that we're from Trenton because having lived here all my life, I've seen Trenton progress and backslide. So I know what's possible, and I know the causes of a lot of the problems that we do have. I'm seeking to run for city council because not just because it's a nice place to be, I can bring that wealth of experience to the city council and represent the people who live here in a professional and qualified way. Someone who is studious and detail oriented and has the experience of working in a political field, I believe I can be effective. My good friend Annette spent some time on city council herself, and let's say I was a fellow traveler throughout her experience. While we ran at the same time, and I attended many of the meetings that Annette was a council person, and her questions were thoughtful and incisive, and the initiatives that she took, had a direction. So based on her experience um, and what we've had together, I think a conversation of this kind is very relevant. If people in the city of Trenton want to get to know the people who are seeking to represent them at city council, they need to know that the person they send down there, A, understands their issues, and B, is able to address them, to know how to address them. And I spent a lot of time preparing myself for that role. I'm probably very prepared for that role. So I'm happy to be here tonight. My good friend Ty, we've worked on issues together, many of them that vex our city, and the same with Annette. So to y'all, I don't need to introduce myself. But to anyone else who doesn't know, I've worked on I sat on the school board for a period, so I understand issues with the school. I'm a Leadership Trenton Fellow. In other words, we studied all of the departments in the city of Trenton for over a year in the Trenton Fellowship through Thomas Edison College. As I said, I've worked with many other city council members, both on their campaign and as they served in office. And I run my own 501c3 organizations that are doing important work here in the city. One of the most important things that I'm doing is we're starting the Trenton Community Credit Union, which is the last great civil rights issue, because none of this means anything unless we got the money to do it. And I'm not talking about going out and trying to find a sugar daddy or a benefactor or somebody to give us something. We have our own resources. There's no need for us to ask anybody for anything. We have the resources within our community to chart our course, but they're not organized. And that's my great task right now, is to organize that. So we've been working for the last year and a half to form the Trenton Community Credit Union. We're about 3/4 of the way there. We'll be opening our office before the next year. So this is an important thing that's going on. I'm also working on opening the first Black museum here in the city of Trenton, over at Locust Hill, and restoring the cemetery there where our ancestors were buried in a segregated cemetery. And we've engaged the colleges in the area to do academic studies, the people who live in the area to engage in this restoration work. We're doing cookouts over there and block parties for the students. So I feel real good about that. But that's just to point out that a lot of people talk about what they're going to do when they get there, but it's a rare occasion when a person can talk about what I've done to get there before I got there. I'm serving now.
And Algie, I want to thank you for that. Again, this platform is simply to give Trenton residents an opportunity to see and hear the people who are interested in serving them. This won't be a platform at all for debate. It's just simply to share who you are, what you're interested in. It will also not be a platform where we will discuss the sitting council members. This is not about them. This is about a new voice, your choice, and giving folks the opportunity to see, what the field looks like and who the people are. Because one of the things I learned very early on is that, number one, social media is not all of it.
Oh, no.
And number two, voter education is going to be key.
Absolutely.
Because you're running now in an election in November, along with a partisan group of folks. And so I'm just going to talk about that a little bit, and then I'm going to let you guys go. And hopefully I'll get a chance to see you again on a third Sunday. It'll always be a third Sunday. Okay. It'll always be at 8:05. We could reduce that depending on the majority of people who will eventually get involved with this podcast to get their message out in terms of who they are and what they look like. Because that's all you're doing here. Who you are and what you look like, and why you're running. That's what it's about, giving Trenton a chance to see you. And again, we'll be marketing it. But I want Trenton to know, because people will pick up and look afterwards. A lot of folks believe if they view the podcast later, it won't be visible to those of us who are running it. It will be. We won't know exactly who you are, but we'll know our numbers. And once we market it out, we'll have even better numbers. I have another podcast where very few people get on, but I've reached over 2,700 people. Okay. And that's what we want to do with this podcast. We want to reach Trenton and let them know. I don't have a nickel in the quarter. I wish everybody well. I just believe that the city ought to know what they're looking at and who they're voting for when they pull the lever.
That's right.
So in voter education, this is my last statement, and then I'll give both of you the opportunity for the same. This ballot will look different from any ballot Trenton has ever seen with respect to where uh, Trenton City Council will be located on the ballot. Good evening, Teska.
Good evening, Annette.
We have Ty and Algernon here with us this evening.
Good
I just
evening, amazing people. Good evening.
Yep. And so, what's important is for us to understand that that ballot for city council will be on the right hand bottom side of the ballot. And you need to keep talking to people about that because that is often a strategy used to defeat opponents. That ballot for the city of Trenton in November will be on the right bottom of the ballot. They're going to have to go through every other Democratic and Republican campaign column through questions if there are some on the ballot, and I'm sure there will be, and look to the bottom right for Trenton City Council candidates. Keep talking about it, keep sharing it. That's a huge part of voter education. I would encourage each of you, if I could respectfully, to work more on voter education than you ever have, because that's going to be the key. We're in a race now in Trenton with Democrats and Republicans, a partisan race. The nonpartisan North got it right. They keep their partisan and nonpartisan separate. They got it right. We won't be able to do it again for another 10 years. That was the disadvantage of folks not being involved in what was happening. But Ty has introduced herself. Algernon has introduced herself. Would you just take a couple of minutes and introduce yourself because we're wrapping up?
So I apologize for being late. I am running from one meeting to the next meeting, but it was absolutely important for me to be here. I'm Teska Frisbee. I am running for West Ward Council here in the city of Trenton. I'm an advocate who's been working in our community for over the last 8 years. Just want to see a positive difference here in our capital city. I wanted to just let folks know I want the world to see that Trenton is much bigger than what they see and they read in the newspapers and they see on the television screens, that we are a community, we are a city that is filled with hope, filled with purpose, filled with greatness. And I want us to be able to capitalize on that here in our capital city and show the world what we want them to see as opposed to what others are projecting out there. There is greatness here and we know about it, but no one's writing about it. So we want to change the tone of what's going on in the city. We want to change the optics of what's going on in our city and treat each other with love, treat each other with respect, treat each other professionally. And that's how I want to show up in our community at all times, be it whether I don't want to say win, lose, or draw, because it has to be a win. There is no draw on it, but just to be there and be my brother's keeper in the community. So that's what I'm looking to do, to work with everybody, to especially work with our leadership here in the city to show the community, show the world what we look like when we work together. Because Trenton, we are much stronger, we are much better when we do things together. Thank you, Annette, for the time.
I want to thank you for that. And again, just so you hear the same thing everybody else heard, this platform is not open to sitting council members. They've spoken for 4 years. This is open for new candidates, and everybody who intends to run for office has the opportunity to get on this live and tell folks who they are. We'll engage a whole lot more come July and August as we get closer to the campaign, but there'll always be the opportunity to drop in. I'm going to leave the open mic for council candidates on Sunday. So when we're going to pop up on a third Sunday, it'll always be a third Sunday. We can change the time, but it'll always be a third Sunday. Everybody in the race is welcome. And that's the reality of what we're doing here, because this is about Trenton. And it's also nonpartisan. It's not the opportunity to campaign, It's just the opportunity for people to see you and hear you, see if you articulate some of the things that they're interested in. That's what this is about. And that's why it's open. There are 10 seats, there are 11, including me, seats on this podcast. And this was put out to North, East, South, and West, as it will be again. I will also pay to market this across Trenton tonight. And every time you come on, I'm paying to market it across Trenton. Why do I have an interest? I live here and own property here. Aside from where I live in Trenton, I own property in Trenton. And I want to ensure that we're doing everything we're supposed to do to give our folks an opportunity to see that there are folks who are interested in Trenton. And so changing the narrative is important. I'd like to thank each of you for taking the time. I'm going to give you a closing statement for 1 minute. And Algernon, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I'm glad you gave me the opportunity because I'm also very glad that I got Teska and Ty on here at the same time. And as candidates, I'd like to propose to you carry ourselves in a dignified way that the people in the city of Trenton. I will promise you two that this will not be, I'm not going to resort to personal attacks or things beneath the dignity of the office that I'm seeking, and that we do what we do and treat each other with respect.
Absolutely.
We'll have a campaign that's not only informed, but uplifts them and shows them an example of how a person should be behave when they're sitting in representative office. So I hope at least we can agree among ourselves that that's how we're going to roll with each other.
Well, you're all going to have the opportunity to do that because I promise you that more candidates will get on this podcast. There were some who simply were not available tonight.
Yeah.
But there are others who are going to get on.
I know.
And I'd like to hear that again when you have a larger group, because that's important.
Well, when I'll talk to them, but I'm talking to two of my friends right now, and I hope we can come to that much of an agreement. Because if we're on council, as Teska said, we're going to have to work together. And that begins with respect. Because if you don't respect that other person, some things that come out of your mouth and get personal, and then the work of the city comes to a halt. So let us agree. Let's start off on day one of behaving like adult professionals and people who are genuinely concerned about representing people right, rather than scoring rhetorical points or whatever.
Thank you, Algie. Thank you. Teska?
So again, I'm going to bounce right off of Algernon. I'll tell you what I've been telling folks. They said, who's your competition? And I keep telling folks, I don't have any competition. What I do have is there's another young lady who's running for the same seat that I'm running for. And as I will tell you what I told her, I will speak to her with dignity. I will speak with her with respect. As you have never seen me in public, and no one will be able to say that they have seen me in public or behind closed doors being disrespectful. I will treat people the way I want to be treated, and that is with respect and dignity at all times. And just like I said to the other young person who is running for the same seat, at some point, we're going to have to work together. Whoever wins the seat is going to have to work with the other 6 individuals that are going to be in the seat. The other one, whichever of us does not get that seat, I would hope that we would be woman enough or adult enough to still give our positive input. Because if we're here for the city of Trenton, then the work shouldn't stop just because you didn't win the seat. Because otherwise, that means you're doing it for pretense. So if I'm doing this and I don't win and I stop my advocacy that I've been doing here in the city, that'll tell you volumes about me. But I've been doing this prior to getting putting my hat in the ring for this. I never thought I was going to run for public office, but I'm all about. I want to bring back pride. I want folks to smile. I want people to have their chest pumped out when they say, that's my Trenton, that's my representative. And I'll tell you this, like I've said before, we have a north, south, east, and west areas of wards that we are running for. And then we have 3 at-large candidates. What I am proposing, and I've been saying this to everyone, even though we have the 4 wards are to hear the pulse of the city, of their section of the city, but we bring it back together and collectively, because we are one city. And when we can't say, okay, well, I want this just for the east, or I want this just for the west. No, this the east needs this, the west needs this, the north needs this, the south needs this. But together, when I win, it will be that I am winning because I am for the entire city of Trenton. Now, yeah, I'm going to help out because that's where I'm going to be listening to. But if someone from the south comes to me and says, Councilwoman, I need you to do this, that, and the other, or we're lacking here, I'm not going to say, oh, that's not my job. Don't. I'm going to hear you. I will direct you to your council person, but I'm going to follow up with your council person as well, because I don't want them to think that if you see me, well, I can't because you're not my ward. We've got to stop that. We are one city and we need to act as one city. Yes, we help the different sections at large, helps everyone collectively, but I am all about unity. We've got to be united. We have to learn to take pride. We need to learn how to take a humility pill every now and again. And let's speak to each other. Let's treat each other the way we want to be. And the last thing I'll say is we have to also remember that this is not personal. This is business. This is about the business of our city. And when we can differentiate and treat it as so, we're going to get to the finish line a lot faster than we would as if we keep on taking things personally. I thank you, Annette, for the opportunity.
I thank you for the opportunity as well. And again, one of the things we're going to focus on here is just letting people know who we are.
Absolutely.
And every candidate will be asked to focus solely on themselves. Mm-hmm. Because that's how people get to know you. And I think social media is a wonderful platform because it gives people an opportunity. And so, Ty, you're going to bring us in.
Want to bring it in?
You're going to bring it in.
Thank you. So, Annette, I want to thank you for the opportunity. Tesca and Algernon, it's a pleasure to see you both on here. And Algernon, yes, I definitely make that pact with you, and I will continue to govern as I have, sitting on the Planning Board of Mercer County, the Zoning Board of Adjustments for the City of Trenton, School Leadership Council, the School Facilities Advisory Board, the Trenton Board of Ethics, because I believe that we govern for the people. And it's very important that people recognize that Trenton deserves good government and we deserve good leadership that will remain professional. We don't take our ball and go home when we have a disagreement. It is okay to have a disagreement without being disagreeable. And it's also okay to have an idea of what our community wants. But if you don't get it exactly as you want, you still keep the greater interest of the city at hand. And that is how we get results, such as our new high school, right? So we know we went years and years about old versus new, modern versus tear it down. And we did not take our ball and go home. You know, we didn't get what we wanted, but what we wanted ultimately was a new high school for our children. And that's what we got. And I will bring that Ty, who shows up every single time, to fight hard, to fight professionally, to fight with decorum, and most of all, to fight for the residents in the city of Trenton. So thank you so much, Annette, for this platform.
And I'll see you again. So just in case we can get 7, 8 more people on the third Sunday, it may have to be a little earlier, but we'll work it out, depending on that date. But I'll be in touch with you. Please, again, send me your email through text. Each of you have my number, and I'll ensure to send this link through text. Once I set a date for June to try to get more of you on here to have some discussion, we'll do that. Your favorite part of the city, Algernon, where is it?
It's the whole city. It's I've lived in every section, and each has its own personality.
Just pick one.
You can't pick one. I'm born here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Ty.
I'm with Algernon. I really rock I like Trenton High, right? But I rock with the whole Trenton because I can go in any park. I got Catwater Park in the west. I have the museums. So it's the whole Trenton for me. I
Yeah,
like the food in South Trenton. I like the East Ward because of the high school.
yeah.
We just love Trenton, live or die.
I was born in North Trenton. I moved to South Trenton. I moved to West Trenton. I moved to East Trenton. Now I'm back in North Trenton. So what's my favorite part? Ah, those um every and that's really the beauty of Trenton, Annette. We are a very diverse community, and we have every asset that a city needs to succeed. North Trenton is a large reaches from the Brunswick Circle all the way downtown Trenton um, to Union Street. It has an industrial zone. It has a Polish section. It has an African section. We have a business.
Okay.
We have a recreational section. We got a downtown area. We got museums.
I got it. I got it. Thank you. You guys have a wealth of information. You have a favorite place, Tesca?
I have to say mine is actually Catwalder Park. I love walking in the park. I've discovered an eagle's nest. I'm a walker, so and I love being in the museum. I love the beauty of how they built up the playground, how they put the electricity in the gazebo. I love when people come together, and I can see just hundreds of us together, and then when you get all of our people, be it north, south, east, west, I get to see a bunch of them in Catwalder Park. So I'm going to say right now, Catwalder Park, that's where I love seeing. I love being in Catwalder Park, and especially when there are other events going on. When I see the softball games in the middle of the summer, I love being in the park. I love the openness, and I love seeing our people. So that's what my favorite would be.
We're going to wrap up here. I want to thank you guys for joining us. I want to shout out John Day. John Day has several books, but he has a book that speaks to his experiences, and I think that everybody should read it. He's also hosting an event in Cadwalder Park. I want to say the 25th of June for everybody, which is a wonderful idea. He hosts forums for young men. I think that's critical to our success. So I want to thank John Day. I want to shout him and his wife, Mrs. Day, out tonight and tell them thank you for the work that they're doing. There's a lot here in Trenton. There's so much here in Trenton. Please don't miss the magic. It's here. There's some great folks here. There's some great neighborhoods. There are some phenomenal people. Ty, Algie, and Tesca, thank you for joining me tonight. I will inbox you another invitation, as well as other folks who are interested in running. We went a little overtime
Can I just
tonight.
say one quick thing?
Yes.
June 4th, Catwalder Park from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. We're having a Wear Orange event, Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. The governor, the attorney general, there'll be a large group, and that is to put our arms around those families who have been affected by gun violence. So I'm asking everyone to please come out, show your love, show your support. June 4th from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock in Catwalder Park. Thank you.
Okay. That's a great idea for everybody. Thank you all for joining us. Trenton rocks. What Trenton makes,
The world
the world partakes. And I want you to remember that all roads lead to Trenton. Thank you guys. Have a great evening. I'll see you again soon. I appreciate your time, energy, and effort tonight. Good night.
Good night.